Maple Ridge Lane looked like any other quiet street in suburban Ohio. Manicured lawns, friendly waves between neighbors, block parties every summer. But over a span of exactly 3 years, for people who lived on that street, vanished without explanation. And the man who organized every single search party, comforted every grieving family, and spoke at every vigil, was someone nobody ever once suspected. He brought casseroles to the families. He posted missing flyers around town with his own hands. He hugged the mothers and held the fathers as they cried. He was, by every account, the most helpful and caring man on that entire street, until investigators started looking at exactly one detail that connected all 4 disappearances: him. This is the story of how a pattern hiding in plain sight finally got noticed, and what it took to see what an entire neighborhood had missed for 3 years. Names and details had been changed, and this account reflects patterns drawn from real serial disappearance investigations. Welcome back to Plain English Guide. Today's case is unsettling not because of violence, we can see, but because of how long something can stay hidden when the person responsible is the one everybody trusts the most. Let's get into it. Maple Ridge Lane had 18 homes on a single cul-de-sac in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. It was the kind of street where kids rode bikes until dark and neighbors knew each other's names. Daniel Korski had lived at number 14 for 9 years, divorced, no children, worked as a freelance handyman. Everyone on the street had hired him for something at some point, fixing a fence, repairing a roof, helping move furniture. Daniel was well liked, quiet but approachable. He attended every block party. He helped elderly residents with snow removal in winter without being asked. When the first disappearance happened, nobody on that street could have imagined that within 3 years they would be looking at him as the answer to a question they had not even known to ask. The first to vanish was Linda Marsh, 58, from number 9. She went for her evening walk with her dog on a Tuesday in April and never returned. Her dog was found the next morning, still on its leash, tied to a stop sign 3 blocks away. Linda herself was never found. Investigators searched extensively, interviewed everyone on the street, and ultimately classified it as an unexplained disappearance with no evidence of foul play. Daniel Korski was among the most active volunteers in the search effort. He organized search teams. He printed flyers at his own expense. He gave a tearful interview to local news, expressing how much Linda meant to the neighborhood. Investigators interviewed him briefly, as part of standard procedure. He had no connection, beyond being a helpful neighbor, and moved on. 14 months later, Marcus Webb, 31, from number 3, disappeared after leaving for his morning commute. His car was found abandoned in a grocery store parking lot 2 towns over, doors unlocked, wallet still inside. No signs of struggle, no witnesses. Once again, an investigation produced no leads and no answers. Daniel attended Marcus's vigil. He had helped Marcus install a new water heater just 2 weeks before the disappearance. He told reporters he simply could not understand how something like this could happen twice on the same quiet street. Several residents began discussing the strange coincidence among themselves, but nobody connected it to any single individual. Why would they? Daniel had been a victim's helper both times, not a suspect. 18 months after the second disappearance, Robert Hale, 67, from number 16, vanished while gardening in his own backyard on a Saturday afternoon. His wife had stepped inside for 15 minutes to answer a phone call. When she returned, Robert was simply gone. His gardening tools lay scattered on the lawn. The back gate was unlatched. This third disappearance finally triggered serious alarm throughout the neighborhood. A community meeting was held at the local church. Residents discussed forming a neighborhood watch. Local news began referring to Maple Ridge Lane as a community under a curse. Daniel spoke at that meeting too, proposing the neighborhood watch idea himself and volunteering to coordinate it. It was a detective newly assigned to review the unsolved case file, not the original investigators who first noticed something unusual while reading through years of witness statements and interview transcripts. The same name appeared in every single case file, not as a suspect, as a helpful witness, a volunteer, a comforting presence. Daniel Korski's name showed up in connection to all 3 disappearances. On its own, this meant very little. Daniel was a handyman who had worked in most homes on that street and was simply present at community events. but the detective requested phone records and financial documents as a precaution. What she found warranted a much closer look. Daniel had withdrawn unusually large cash amounts in the days surrounding each disappearance, amounts that did not match his typical income pattern. Before the detective could build a stronger case, a fourth disappearance occurred. Sarah Quinn, 24, from number 11, vanished from her own home on a Thursday evening. Her roommate returned to find the front door unlocked and Sarah's phone left charging on the kitchen counter. This time, surveillance footage from a neighbor's newly installed doorbell camera captured something the previous 3 cases never had. The footage showed a figure matching Daniel's build, walking toward Sarah's house at 9:47 p.m., roughly the estimated time of her disappearance, and walking away 40 minutes later, carrying what appeared to be a duffel bag. The footage was not perfectly clear, but combined with the financial records and the pattern across all 4 cases, it was enough for investigators to secure a warrant. Police searched Daniel's home at number 14 the following morning. In a locked shed behind the house, they found belongings connected to all 4 missing individuals: Linda's reading glasses, Marcus's wallet, Robert's wedding ring, and Sarah's phone case. They also discovered a detailed notebook documenting each disappearance with disturbingly methodical notes about timing, opportunity, and how to avoid suspicion. Daniel was arrested and charged with 4 counts of kidnapping, and was later charged with murder once forensic evidence connected him to remains discovered on a property he had inherited 2 counties away. He had used his access as a trusted handyman and his role as the neighborhood's most active volunteer to study his victims' routines without ever raising suspicion. Investigators and psychologists who later studied the case pointed to a specific and deeply unsettling pattern. Daniel had positioned himself as the solution to each tragedy rather than the cause of it. By being the most visibly helpful person after each disappearance, he redirected suspicion away from himself entirely. People do not typically suspect the man organizing the search party of being the reason the search is necessary. This is sometimes referred to by investigators as the helper paradox in serial crime cases. Offenders who insert themselves into the response and recovery process specifically to monitor the investigation and maintain the appearance of innocence. It is rare, but documented across multiple real investigations throughout criminal history. What can communities take from a case like this? Lesson 1. Extreme helpfulness following a tragedy is not inherently suspicious, but a consistent pattern of one individual appearing centrally in multiple unrelated tragedies deserves a second look, regardless of how trustworthy that person seems. Patterns matter more than any single instance. Lesson 2. Community vigilance works best when it is organized independently of any one trusted figure, no matter how reliable they appear. Neighborhood safety initiatives benefit from rotating leadership and outside oversight rather than relying entirely on one volunteer, however well-intentioned they may seem. Maple Ridge Lane today looks much like it did before. New families have moved into several of the affected homes. A small memorial garden was planted at the end of the street in honor of the 4 residents who never came home. Hit subscribe for more real stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. See you next time. This video reflects patterns drawn from real, documented serial disappearance investigations in the United States. Names, locations, and specific details have been changed and composited for storytelling purposes. This video is for educational purposes only.